There's only one
Well,
soul
I think
left.
we just decided to have another meeting as a follow-up to the last meeting, so we didn't want to wait another month or two to continue the discussion of us making the committee making a recommendation to the board of supervisors to then talk to the town about doing a joint effort between the town and county. And I know we had sent some emails back and forth that we really didn't talk about how that would be structured. But that the committee wanted to do a joint effort, right?
Yeah, I kind of initiated it. We're both trying to achieve the same thing, I think.
You want to talk about your proposal, what you had
Well,
run out there?
What I threw out there, it would be nice, and again, I don't know 100% of what I'm talking about, but if the county's doing tourism and the town's doing tourism, we have the facilities as buildings that we could cohabitate with. Can't we somehow merge the town and the county in a joint effort, share the expense, match the funds, whatever it is? If the county has $150,000, the town puts in $150,000, we develop a staff in-house, maybe entertain volunteers, so forth to work. And I was just envisioning the visitor center being, the main hub, instead of, if I was going to open a business in Warren County, I don't want to go to 2 or 3 different places. I got to jump around. I want to try to see what does the county have to offer my employees, taxes, conditions of living, what's accessible as far as shopping and entertainment for my employees.
I think there are two components there. One, should it all be together?
Correct.
And then the second component, if so, how?
How do we do it?
Yeah. So should this group propose both the answers to those things, or you think?
In its capacity, should propose
Yeah.
the concept.
Yeah.
Sure.
This group, we all have busy lives. We don't have to do this. We're business owners, business managers, what have you. We were asked to do this. So to me, I think as a group, we make a recommendation to the town and to the county, since this is a joint effort.
Yep.
And put it on them and let them decide.
What's the decision that you're trying to decide, though? I think that the town is kind of for it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for Mr. Tederick, but I believe the town is kind of for it. The county is kind of for it,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know how this
To make it happen.
board wants to make it happen. Because we can't go at it willy-nilly. We got to put it together as a proposal that says, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it, this is who's going to run it, and all of the things that we need to make it work. And let the town and the county go after it.
Yeah.
And if it comes to a mutual understanding between us two, then it will come to be. Am I wrong?
I'm not in a position to say right or wrong, being the town manager, but I will say what you're proposing makes a lot of sense. And I think from a policy perspective, I believe town council would very much entertain the concept. Devil's in the details, but
Correct.
this, I've always felt that this, let me stand up, it's rude. I've always felt that this body doesn't really have a lot of authority, I don't know that you've gotten a lot of direction from town or county. I always believe, and as business owners, first thing you start with is a strategic plan. What is it we want to see? Who's our target market? What are we trying to track? How are we going to reach them? And when I looked at the town's budget for tourism, and you have $80-some thousand out of a $409,000 budget going towards print advertising efforts, that's just not the right methodology, I think, in this modern era to be contacting people to come to Warren County and Front Royal. Secondly, I've been concerned from a messaging perspective, branding perspective. Are we branding Warren County or branding the town of Front Royal when it relates to tourism? Are we sending a message for the county and a different message for the town? So conceptually, I think it makes a lot of sense to have this board, serve as some kind of governing board of the assets. And then, I guess the big question is who's going to handle the fiscal responsibilities of the monies? As you guys figure out consultants, great. Who's going to handle the management of the consultants and the oversight of the consultants? Maybe it's somebody like the Chamber of Commerce. Maybe it's somebody else. Maybe you hire staff, but they have to report. Staff has to report to someone. Someone has to do the evaluation. I don't know that that's your mission, but I think we're having a meeting Monday night as a work session, and one of the items is going to be budget discussion. And without a doubt, the direction for tourism is going to come up. We have everything still in motion. So in this fiscal year for 20, from the town's perspective, we still have things in motion. I've got 71,000 visitor guides to distribute throughout Virginia. Seems like a lot of visitor guides to me, but we have them. They're printed. They're in boxes. So FY21, July 1, I think we should be prepared to move forward. And so we have now to then to figure out exactly the plan, the strategy, who's going to do what, and the relationship. So I saw this at the last tourism committee. Various council members have talked about it, and I think from a conceptual perspective, when I made the comment early on about outsourcing it, it's this kind of thing was envisioned. So I think it would give you guys, you're stakeholders to me. You're the right entity to be overseeing where the funds should go. So I just didn't think town or county government's really good at that kind of function. So that's my 2 cents.
Are there any communities in our area?
I have a question. I'm sorry. So I have an email for AAA travel agencies. Have you heard about it yet? The FAM tour for the 25 agents. So who's handling tourism right now? Because there's 25 AAA travel agents that were scheduled or some sort to be scheduled to come on a FAM tour of the area, and now it's in limbo.
Okay. Yes.
And then there's Uniglobe World Tour buses that called me today and said, hey, I need my itineraries. So that's 56 times 2 buses of people that want to eat and do stuff here. Nobody is. This is lost revenue. This is guaranteed lost revenue if we don't have someone to follow up on it. So I need to know who's doing it.
Have them contact my office, town manager's office. That'd be great.
Yeah, because they want their contracts.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Are there any communities in our area that are doing something similar to this that we know of?
It's a lot of money.
Does Luray or anybody
Well,
do?
I mean, Luray has a similar setup. You could look at that. You can look at, there are a number of different setups. I've got a lot of stuff that I can share with you guys from different communities about what they're doing, and not just with chambers, but other tourism councils set up, all of that sort of stuff. There's many ways to go about it, but the most important thing is that it's done properly. We determine who our customer is, and all of our tourism stakeholders are represented equally. So those are going to be the really important things to make sure that happens. So
I think some of those ideas are important because I know that I'm not one to create this position or whoever, whatever it is. I don't think that's our responsibility necessarily because that's not what we do for a living.
Right.
So we need to figure out who is responsible for that.
Yeah.
I think this board could make recommendations and structure it.
Sure. And
make recommendations to the town and to the county and let them hash it out, the details.
Yeah. And there's lots of examples out there.
I don't want to be the person here telling, staff of the county or a town, I need you to do this for me. That's not our responsibility.
Right.
That's no individual's responsibility. That's a board's or a council's responsibility. But I think we can make recommendations, just like when your father had the Apple Mountain store, you have the Apple House, I have the golf club, you have the brewery, we have so much to offer town and county. This absolutely should be a joint venture and a joint responsibility.
Now, one of the things that I have thought about is if if it's a combined unit and this advisory committee has someone that you put in that position of being in control to help make those decisions, to be, it's not an adventure for them like it is for you, it's a job. And you give them that amount of teeth to be able to listen to the advisory board, listen to who our customers are, and then they go out and market for us or for you. And it's extremely important that the county and maybe the town don't make that decision. Because we may pick the wrong people because we're not the same as you.
Well, I think anybody who you employ as being, an employee.
Your manager.
We make the recommendation, and they still need to present it to you and the town.
It's part of your budget process.
Correct. Just like anything else. Just like anything else. We can't make policy without the approval of the town and county. You can't do it. I wouldn't want that responsibility. If you don't have,
I would think it would be half.
I think you have an employee, an executive director, or whoever it may be, and then you have a board that they report to, and they report to the county and the town.
And the
I don't
visitor
think
center
there's
would
any
make-
problem with that.
would make the-
You keep it very simple, keep it controlled, and I mean, these are not, stipend positions here. We're here because we care. And we want our businesses to grow, and we want the county and the town to flourish because, to get to your business, you gotta go through the county. You're gonna stop and get gas, you're gonna stop at the hotels, you're gonna stop,
You have to walk 1,000 miles to get to Bernard.
Yeah. But, it should be a joint venture, and I think we're all here for the same reason.
I think the key word here, though, is advisory.
Absolutely.
That's the key word. So
Absolutely.
not to have any capacity to set any kind of policy or whatever.
But I think you have an executive director of tourism, and take it from there.
Goes along the line of the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Hmm.
CVB goes along the line of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. We talked about that last time.
It's just like town council, manager, board of supervisors, everybody reports to somebody.
I think we mentioned before that as far as like getting back ground info from people, that people don't necessarily are coming to Warren County. I think Front Royal is the target as far as maybe a vacation or whatever. So this is a whole new, uncharted territory to blend the two together, which I think is beneficial, obviously. But heretofore, people have been coming to Front Royal, not necessarily Warren County, to go do their activities, whatever it is.
I just registered for a trade show yesterday, and it's the Your Military Reunion Connection trade show. So anyways, I'm filling in it. It's all about the destination. It's not about the hotel. It's nothing about me where I work. It's all about Front Royal. So it's like, where's the destination? Front Royal, Virginia. It's not Warren County. Again, is it Warren County, New York, Warren County, Pennsylvania, Ohio? So it's, Front Royal. So it's, and then I'm listing places that the groups can the Spirits Trail and the caverns and restaurants, and like it asks me all this stuff. So I'm filling it all out. But, so I'm listening to everything that everybody's saying, and it's so important. And I'm kind of passionate because, one, it's our hotel dollars, that's the tourism money, but two, it's like these people want to come here, and we got to do something to get them here, you know what I mean? And so I'm going to Texas in May. I'm going to so many places this summer. But, and it's all about Front Royal. That's how we talked about the branding word, and, that's when I go to these shows, it's about Front Royal, not the county.
So if we're on this venture,
one
then the premise would be, what is the co-branding? What does it look like? I think that's probably the place that we should probably start, is where that concept looks like. I think the rest of it will come into place once we come up with a concept for how we co-brand it.
Branding's big.
Which is going to take money, logos, artwork, all this kind of stuff. So you've got all these expenses coming up that are going to be preliminary to anything else that we're going to do.
Which we kind of did that.
See, don't we have a
with the
logo?
Solomon
Front
Venture
Royal,
Out.
Well,
What's the
you have
slogan?
that, if that suffices.
Discover
I mean,
Front
if that
Royal,
works.
isn't that what we are? Discover Front
We
Royal?
did that whole branding.
Is that the
Discover
one?
Front Royal.
I think that's
I mean,
part of the
event.
problem. I think
Yes.
what we're
We've done
talking
so
about right
many.
now is part of the problem.
Right.
Is we're not really
How
sure
to just-
who we
yeah.
are and what we
How to
are.
decide.
We've done that one, the
Yes.
Settlement
Yeah.
Venture Out,
Yes.
that was months.
Mhm.
And we've done the Discover Front Royal.
Yeah.
we've done-
Well, the ones that we've used for the
Well,
shows, we've
Discover
used
Discover Front Royal, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
We've just done,
You know, and that
branding
that brand, quite frankly, is talking about it. We've got Discover Front Royal, but the picture we're using with that is Colors Overlook. So it's the
Yes.
county. So you know that.
Right, it's the color, yeah, because that picture draws a lot of attention.
Yes, it does.
A lot of attention.
Absolutely. So, so when we're talking about first steps, you know, again, determining how we're branding. I mean, I think we're a little ahead of ourselves because the town and the county have to, you know, formally agree to come
We
together.
have to give
but,
them something to
Right.
determine.
But that's, you know, that's sort of those beginning things that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to determine that brand and what we're using officially and move forward from there in determining our customer, because I don't think from a tourism perspective that's something that we've ever done, really. I mean, we know, you know, that hikers come through here. We know that we have a captive audience in Northern Virginia who have disposable income, who would visit our area several weekends out of the year. But are we marketing up there very well? Probably not. So there's a lot of different things that we need to look at.
If we go back to the kind of the job at hand here in terms of what we need to do to get this, one, stabilized, and two, have a recommendation. You know, I did some work and looked at different models and but what I started to realize is I needed to step back because the different models actually do different things. So I was looking at the what do you call it, Conventioners Visitors Bureau that we talked about, and I've looked at destination marketing organizations and destination management companies and tourism offices, and they all do slightly different things. And so I started to jot down some roles and tasks that they do, and I don't know if this is helpful to the rest of you, but to me it was helpful to figure out like how we would do these things or who would do these things. And I think part of our problem is before the role that Felicia had and others had was a pretty big role in terms of, and it was kind of all-encompassing. So and I don't think that our role was very clear. I don't think, you know, in terms of what, you know, even the budgeting process was unclear. And so I broke it down to a couple of different things. And one, vision, strategy, and goals as a main role that we have to do. And I can send this to you guys if you find it helpful. That is, you know, what do we want to be? What's our approach? Some of these questions about branding would be in there. What are the big strategic items? We tried to do a little bit of that work before, but I don't think we got very far in it. The monitoring, measurement, and performance management is what we're doing, providing us a return. So that's a really important piece of it. Tourism investment and infrastructure, which we dabbled in a little bit, which is like the wayfinding signs, the parking, the lighting, this, you know, that type of thing. That's a whole nother thing. It doesn't have to be done by a visitor center. It doesn't have to decide, you know, where the signs are. And setting a tourism budget, managing a tourism budget, influence management, you know, going after some of that earned media in terms of, you know, people like the Washington Post does a travel section, and how do you, you know, kind of connect the pieces there, and who are really the influencers in tourism, and how to, you know, travel writers and others, how do we get connected there? That's a job that has to be done. It doesn't just happen. Crowdsourcing and volunteers. There are plenty of people in this town that would love to help in tourism, and we don't really have done a good job of kind of bringing all of them together. The local development and community awareness, we dabbled in this a little bit with the ambassador program, and helping service employees try to connect. The social media sites is another piece, Facebook, Instagram. We are pretty big on Facebook. relatively big on Facebook. Instagram, not really. I don't think we have an Instagram account. I don't think it's so active. Twitter, website, Discover Front Royal, online marketing and user-generated content when somebody comes here and takes a picture of themselves, and talks about us. What do we do with that information? Data collection and market insights, who has been coming here, how much revenue have they been driving? That's a science all in of itself. It doesn't have to be the front end person that's doing that, but maybe another office that does that. Business promotion and referral. So if you have a particular need, referring you to a particular business and making sure it's spread out in terms of all the businesses that you're referring it to. Event and group destination marketing and management. This is some of the stuff that you were talking about that you've been doing. And that is arranging site inspections, checking hotel and meeting space availability, linking planners, creating those itineraries. And then visitor information and guidance, which is what they do at the visitor center, which is the maps, the info desk, the visitor center. It's like the one-on-one. You showed up, now let me help you. And so there's also other things like geogating and other infrastructure things you can do that are even broader stuff. But there are a lot of different roles here, and it would be, so what I was thinking about is maybe, and I'm sure I missed a lot, there's probably a lot more, but I was thinking about we could think about how these roles should be done, and kind of what are in the same breath, kind of what are the goals that we see that the town needs to do. For instance, on the ambassador program, just hitting up every restaurant that's and doing an awareness program. Some of the goals that we'd like to see, but also then say who then manages this going forward. Thoughts about that? I mean, is that helpful? Because I think
it's very helpful.
Yeah.
I think it shows how broad these positions could be.
Yeah.
And this committee, this staff person is going to need the support of us as well as the extra staff, because no one person is going to accomplish everything you just said.
That's right. And I think that's where we fell down before. We asked one person to kind of cover all of this.
Because we had the ideas and it seemed like it was already happening, so then we kind of backed off.
And I think accountability is a big thing too. They have to be measured.
Oh, absolutely. But it requires somebody to help with.
Correct.
You can't create your own performance data. Is somebody else saying, okay, what is the revenue that's been driven? What are the numbers? So somebody else, there's a conflict of interest there, can be measuring that, where somebody can be doing the plan. So this doesn't have to be one person.
Correct.
And a visitors center, maybe it's only that staff, it's a couple of pieces, very critical pieces of this, but maybe they're not the people who are, doing the database with all the information. They're not the person who's running them. Maybe they are, I don't know, but we, like the job structure, we need to structure this function. So that's just a thought.
I think it's great.
I mean, I think starting with that vision, like what is our vision?
Yeah.
Because do we know what that is?
Right.
Like,
We have to do some of that work.
Yeah, we need to
even
do
answer
some of
these
that.
questions.
yeah, I feel like to start, because, I mean, that's a lot, and in all of our spare time, which there's not much of, some of that is going to fall to an individual or whoever
Right.
does that. But I think giving them a vision and some specific goals and
Yeah.
Is that something we need to include in the proposal to the powers that be, the town, the county, a structure
I think at
of
least
this
two.
joint,
Yeah.
of this joint effort?
Something that's achievable.
I feel
Yeah.
like you said maybe we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but wouldn't that be the next question that we would get? Wouldn't that be,
What's the structure?
yeah, what exactly do you have in mind as far as staffing, personnel, and as you said, accountability? Who are these people going to report to? Who's going to manage them?
Well, what I was thinking of, so the vision, strategy, and goals, we have a role there. Council has a role probably, the supervisors have a role there, so there are some roles, but, and then the individual, if it's an individual, if we think that's the best way to handle it, would have a role as well to do that. So, and then, but we probably don't have a role with, managing the website you know, so that could go. So we could say, who does all of these things?
Yes.
And it might not be the person who leads tourism isn't the website person.
Yeah.
It could be, you know, an info office or something.
Does anybody on town council or board of supervisors, any of the council members or supervisors members sit on any other subcommittees like, all right, you know, Mr. Mabe's gonna sit on this committee, whether it's, you know, tourism or whether it's,
We
They
do.
do.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it
It's just
doesn't matter which type of committees that we have. There's normally, from the major committee point of view, there's always a supervisor of some sort. So like I sit on probably 5 different ones. And I'll just sit there just like I'm doing right here. And if there's questions that may come up that might require the county to say something, I'd be happy to say it.
Okay.
Right or wrong, I'm gonna stand behind it. But
Correct.
I believe that if you need it, it'll be here. Dolores is here for that reason. She wants to be part of this group. Dolores is a supervisor as well, so you're gonna have it. You're gonna have a voice. And whoever you appoint as your leader will be working directly with Dolores and the town and whoever else is involved. I personally don't want a Warren County tourism. I want a Warren County Front Royal tourism. So whatever the name is and how it works out, it's fine with me. But I'm not going to control it. The town, I don't believe, wants to control it. What I believe is we want the advisory board to control it, and we will help fund it in all of the different parts. And if we've got questions, you know,
Those
we might
representatives will
be
help
able-
mitigate.
yeah, we may be able to take the information that you're providing as far as your website and hand it to our website person that's already doing the work and make it be a part of theirs. That we got all sorts of departments and all of these people are generating opportunities for websites, information.
I think we have a lot of.
We have a lot.
a
We have a
lot
lot that we can offer any of our
that might be able to answer a
board
lot of those
Right.
questions already in-house from both sides.
Because I may not want, you know, county may not have that person, but town may. And they may have the ability to have spare time to do whatever we need done. It's just a matter of let's find out what we need to do so we can do it. Here we are.
Where do we go, Terry?
Well, I know we definitely have to keep the structure of having the tourism industry, lodging representatives help us, give us advice on how to spend the county. Because that's in the state code. So I know we have to keep some kind of structure like that. But we can talk about how it's set up. It would have to be housed somewhere, like the chamber or the visitor center.
What kind of timeline are we looking at where you would like, or the town and county would like a recommendation?
Yours
Is Monday okay?
Yeah.
Yours is
I'm
just.
gonna like I'm money sitting right here.
I mean, what's realistic? What would,
July 21.
Well, I don't know that we need,
Let's spend money.
I don't know that we need
Yeah.
the strategic plans document
Correct.
spelled out in any short
just a
time.
direction,
You know, we have, right now the proposed budget has $225,000 allocated towards tourism, directly towards tourism. There's other monies in that line item that I don't believe should be even in the tourism budget. For instance, the trolley. I don't think that's a tourism function.
It's not.
That should be in another budget, another department. But we have $225,000 that July 1, we're prepared to send certain amounts somewhere. And I think the council between now and then, we're going to try to determine whether we want to go through an organization such as this, whether we want to go through another organization, whether we want to control pots of money. So maybe we go out and contract with a digital marketing company and this private company and give some money to an organization. So those discussions are going to start taking place Monday night. My guess is before the budget gets approved next month, April, well, not, month after next, April, My guess is they want to try to have a general framework of generally where we heading with our tourism dollars.
So we don't have much time. We have a month.
No, I think you have. I
Roughly.
think it's not that
Really?
complicated.
Oh, okay.
So I think there's two questions here. What is the structure going forward? But also, what are the stabilization plans? Because there are visitors coming in, there are commitments that were made. Can you talk a little bit about how that's all being handled, who's doing it, what
Yeah.
kind of follow-up is being done on the things that are still outstanding?
Yeah, so I'm meeting with Tim, who manages the visitor center currently. I meet with him frequently to find out what's happening from his perspective. Now, he's primarily just visitor center.
Yeah.
We have people monitoring emails that are inbound to the tourism director before, and members responding to some of those emails. We have a lot of
Who's that? Who's monitoring that? Is that
my
also
assistant.
somebody
Yeah,
from your
that's
executive?
my assistant contact town manager's office.
Okay.
Yeah, Tina.
Okay.
We have contracts for print work that's in motion and plans. We have 71,000 visitor guides, of which, I don't have my notes, approximately 20-some thousand are being delivered by a firm that we're contracting for. So there's, from a stabilization perspective, I'm sure there's hiccups here and there, but it seems pretty stable from what we're gathering on our end. So, I mean, I think between now and the appropriations meeting, I mean, all we really need to know is this group and the county agree? Is this where we're going to start investing our tourism dollars? I would slightly differ. I think you need to have, I know this body is going to be an advisory body, but someone's going to need to have budget oversight of the money. And the accountability piece, I think that's going to be a challenge as well. So, as an example, you have the chamber board of directors oversees the chamber staff, and they have budgetary control of their money, right? You have the EDA board has oversight and budgetary control. So I think the determination needs to be made is, do you want to be an advisory board? In which case, with your money, are you going to put it towards an organization that has that budgetary oversight? That's okay. I think that's a structure that could be. Or do you want to be incorporated to some degree and have that formal budget oversight and oversight of management and whatnot? I mean, that's a determination you guys have to make. I think in concept, I'll reiterate, in concept, I think town, from what I hear from the county, I think they all would entertain this. It's needed, frankly.
It is.
And they would, the county would anyway.
Well, and I kind of think this is kind of where the committee came from, is that there was a desire
We didn't want to duplicate the town's effort.
to do this,
that
so
they
I
were
feel like
already
it's
doing.
was kind of coming and now we are here.
Yeah, that's a good point about the budget.
Yeah.
And how formal of a body.
Now, I have one more point. I think we don't want to. I think the direction the town's going is, if a person is hired, it shouldn't be answering to a town manager or answering to a planning director, or, follow me. It needs to be hired. It needs to be managed by an actual stakeholder entity. Whether it be, example of my hierarchy of structure, whether it be directly with the chamber, maybe the chamber hires two bodies that are focused on whatever your mission is, but the chamber board is managing those people and ensuring what's going on, and you're allocating funds to the chamber, and you're also directing the chamber to say, we've decided as a board to invest in a digital marketing firm. With your input, we've recommended this digital marketing firm. I've met with one private company. I've talked with I've talked to two separate private companies. I'm meeting with one of those private companies, and it's extraordinary what these people are capable of doing and have been doing. And the elevation in tourism activity and revenues that they've made, there's a lot out there. Just like you research, Carrie, there's a lot of possibilities out there.
That's a good point.
That's a destination management company.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what they call that. I'm learning. Yeah, I mean, that's an option too. But regardless, it has to, if you outsource it, whether it be to chamber, you outsource it to destination management company, you still have to have an entity that
Is responsible.
holds it accountable. So we have to think about that too.
I mean, I wonder what is the
Or-
easiest thing.
Or you have, or you have some issues like we've had in the past where you have a board that's kind of out there and you have two entities that, you know, you have to have a little bit more oversight over things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about.
Is there data somewhere that targets who comes to Warren County, and how many, what's the percentage of the people who come here for what activity? So for instance, you know, we know how many people come to the park. I mean, we get that data from the national park. So we can target that park information. And then how many people visit the area?
The
You know.
canoe companies.
Yeah, we get information from the state park, from
We
the
do?
canoe companies, the caverns. Yeah, we can.
Because my guess is they're probably millennials.
We can gather all of that information,
Yeah,
certainly.
and millennials are on Instagram. They're not on
They're
Facebook.
actually not all millennials anymore. It's the intergenerational grandparent, grandchild.
I don't have millennials in my place, I'll tell you that.
Well, when we did that-
It's a mix.
Yeah,
Well, for the hiking, a lot of them are more millennial
Yeah,
types.
for
I
the
can just,
hiking.
yeah.
Well, we talked a lot about that too when we did the Drive Tourism program through the Virginia Tourism Corporation. I can probably find all of
Yeah,
that
they
data.
have some of that data
I
too.
can pull all of that.
Because
But
your
we talked
different
about.
demographics are gonna be in different areas.
Well, right, and that's what we talk about with determining your customer is, we know we have several different ones and, how do we market to each of them? Where are they? We need to meet them where they are. So-
Right.
But this brings up a really good point, because it brings up somebody should know that information at all times and
Yes.
know exactly how to answer that, and it's not just in destination tourism and the visitor center and other
Right.
canoe companies, it's all kind of
Yes.
compiled
Well,
in
that's
what we have our,
That's your matrix.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you your starting point. You have 45,000 voters. Next year, if you have 65,000 voters, you've probably done a better job. And it'll work with every different tourism piece that we have. I mean, we gotta start someplace. And I'm hoping that in the future that we, the county and the town, through tourist dollars that are coming into us, we won't have to be funding it all the time. It's not that it's not an industry that we're not gonna support, because we always will, but tourist dollars will help to support this too. We're looking to, our county is looking to put their dollars in a group and organization that's gonna grow that industry, so in the future, we don't have to do that.
how would you get revenue though?
Well, you would still get revenue. I mean, the revenue is gonna come from the taxes and the fees that come back to tourism. And
Okay, so you would still allocate through budget?
yeah, you would
okay.
still allocate through budget, but it's coming back to us.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't have to come out of, the county doesn't have to come out of pocket with additional funds.
Well, it's coming back now though, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes, 67% of the lodging tax, I think, by law has to be invested in tourism.
Correct. And we've got a number associated with that.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do with it. Next year, we still get 67%.
Right.
But
Hopefully it's a bigger number.
Yeah, I just hope it's a bigger number, and our metric is to prove that is instead of $120,000, it's $200,000.
But lodging is not the only
Well, it's not the only thing.
tax number. I mean, it could.
Yeah, meals
Meals
tax.
tax.
Meals tax and all of that stuff.
I love that.
Yeah,
Love that meals tax.
yeah, it's very large, and so that should go towards it as well. I
Yes,
mean,
it should.
Yeah,
And we gotta remember too, it's more than just the hotels and the restaurants, it's the,
right.
it's the
all
bed
of
and
the
breakfasts,
entities. Yep.
and that's one thing I'd like for this board to really focus on, and whatever direction we go in, is to represent everybody
Yes,
equally.
right.
Yes.
Regardless of
Yeah.
how much money, I get you're always gonna have the major contributors, but we're here for one reason, that's for everybody,
Thank you.
everybody. So, it's not golf, it's not hotels, it's not restaurant, it's the whole package that benefits.
Well,
It's the experience.
There's a reason we moved here.
Yeah.
There's a reason why my family moved here at some point in time. There's a reason why, you know, Katie's family came from Abingdon, you know. So,
Well, and you bring up a good question too, because there's the small tourism, which is looking just at the individual businesses, and then there's the broader one, looking at the destination of Front Royal and all the amazing assets that we have here and what a great place it is, and getting that word out versus advertising particular hotel, restaurant experience or whatever. And how much do we want to do for both? Because it's crazy how it's just, you know,
What we have to
what we have to offer. It's amazing.
it is.
It's one of the best places on, you know, the whole East Coast, and we don't think about it that way or talk about it that
I
way.
mean, we bring, you know, when I was a kid, the number was like 58,000 golfers. That's when you had Bowling Green, you didn't have Blue Ridge Shadows, you didn't have Sly Fox. And we had to send them to Warren County because we didn't have a nice enough place to eat. We had pizza covered and we had Mexican food covered. You don't want anything other than that. You went to Winchester and we directed them to Winchester. We don't have to do that anymore.
And you also can't recreate the mountains we have, or
Absolutely.
the river
Absolutely.
we have, or
Absolutely.
the historic Main Street we have, or all the other assets. It's pretty amazing.
So,
And you said perfectly the experience. That's what we're selling in our industry. Is we're selling the experience. Come here for everything, based on who they are and what they want. But
I mean, I just did a trade, and I don't like trading, but I did a trade with Nicky Ciotti the other day, and I just told him, I know you guys are part of it, and Rock Harbor's part of it. It's not just golf focus. It's banqueting, it's food and beverage, it's everything. And I told him, I said, don't come to this board anymore about golf. You know, and I am all golf, just about. I don't want to hear just golf. We don't want tax dollars going to just golf. Even though that does spur other, you know, other purchases in the county and the town. It looks like we're spending money just going to a golf show. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear something that everybody's represented equally.
Wedding venues, huge. It's a huge market.
Yeah, yeah. I just spent $50,000 yesterday in recovering chairs. You know, I'm not going to get that money back unless I book. You know, and it's brutal. But I think this board, this advisory committee, whatever we are, can come up with a recommendation.
So is that what the county and the town are looking for from us? Some sort of a recommendation for this joint effort, and even a suggestion on the structure of, or maybe I should use the word restructure, reorganization of the tourism staff for the county and the town as a combined
Unit.
unit. Thank you.
Yeah, I think absolutely we would welcome that and we would entertain it. And it's part of our discussions as far as what our options are.
And then we would have time to, you know, deal with the minutia, the
Yes.
roles, which this is an awesome start, Carrie, and
Yeah, it is great.
and we would have some time for that, but perhaps a recommendation could come pretty quickly.
Because we might be able to tap into things that Mr. Tederick said, that Mr. Maves said, that we're not even thinking about, that the town has accessibility to, that the county may have accessibility to, and we may have 80% of what.
I mean, we could try to go through it and say, who do we think, I mean, that's a possible approach. We could say, who should do these things? And we can just say an entity, a tourism entity, and then we can see what kind of falls out, if that makes sense.
We might have something in-house.
Yeah, because there might be some things that they shouldn't do because it's a conflict, or because we have other resources that could do it easier and better than they could.
Yeah.
Do you want to try that?
Yeah, I think we look at the structure and then just top to bottom. See how it works. Because unless we know what we're working with.
You know, my background is a little bit in corporate restructuring, and one of the things when you're in this place is to look at what is the ideal, and then kind of retrofit what you have versus take what you have and move it around. So to say, oh, we have visitor center, not that the visitor center shouldn't be, because I think it's a great entity, but to say, what is it that we need to do? What's the job to be done? And then what do we have to do that work? Because otherwise you kind of,
So an organizational chart would maybe be the place to start?
No, actually, so the opposite. So the opposite is what's the work instead of what are the people that you have, what's the work? And then look at the organizational chart and say, okay, what people do you have to fit the work versus the other way around? A lot of people start with
might be departments.
Yeah, no, the work like this. So for instance, who should do the vision, strategy, and goals? What entity? Should it be us? Should it be the count? I mean, who should actually do the work? So I'm not saying do it now. Who should do it?
Right, understand.
Yeah. Or
who could we source?
Uh-huh.
Who could we
Or
source?
who could we source, right?
Correct.
Or who should do the website?
I mean, what does the town and county do for websites, just for an example?
Yeah, let's use that one because that's an easier
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, we have a service that does it.
Do you have a service that you pay for?
So we have it in-house, we have
You have it
a
in-house?
person that manages it.
We don't have an in-house person.
We update
Emily
ours
does some of
in-house.
it
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
update.
Emily
but
updates ours
not-
in-house.
Yeah,
not
that's just
real.
an update,
Yeah,
but
that's
from
just an
terms
update.
of design or additions, you'd need an actual web developer.
And right now, the Discover Front Royal is the site, is that correct?
Yes.
And so Discover Front Royal is managed by whom?
It's the
Town.
town.
Who
Town?
in the town?
Todd?
There's
Todd?
there's a company,
So it's
might wanna get
outsourced?
Todd to look at that, because
I
there's a
can get in
company
and track
that was
some of that
engaged to
on
do
it.
that, as part of the community
CBDG, it's
development.
part of the CBD, but Todd
Yeah.
oversees that company.
Yeah, but I can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's,
Does he oversee it or did Felicia oversee that company?
Well, Todd oversees the website component of it, the technical component.
Okay, technical component.
So I don't know, when you say oversee it, I don't know.
She was probably
Felicia had
feeding
input.
information.
Yeah,
Okay.
Felicia had input
Okay,
and
so
Todd had
that
input.
would be kind of two, and then,
Who posts that?
So it's a two-part answer.
yeah, it's a two-part answer, which a lot of these are gonna be two-part answers, right? So there's a technical piece of it, and that's Todd. And then there's maybe an
Marketing piece or,
individual that needs to do the broader
Yes.
content piece of
Content
it,
piece.
right?
Who currently is putting out these daily things that I get from Discover Front Royal? It's all about local hikes
That's
and
the visitor
come here.
center.
Yeah, the visitor
Tuesday
center
nights,
does
stuff is
that,
going
some of that content, so the visitor center does the
And
daily.
Because they've been doing a very good job with that
And
type of thing.
We were just talking about that.
And that's the
They've been
online
doing
marketing, so that's online marketing and the user-generated content, that's the visitor center.
that. They've been doing that recently.
And so
Maybe
we need
always.
an entity.
yeah, they've always
that-
done that.
Okay, so it's,
And,
maybe
and
they're good.
and what we're looking for that is to like boosting, doing the online kind of posts, the daily posts, the ads.
Keep it
that
fresh.
kind of- Keep it fresh. Okay, so that is that.
Well, and you can, you know how social media works. You can drill down and do some real targeted marketing with
Yep.
social media.
Yep.
So
Okay.
So then will we want that to stay at
But
the
is there,
visitor
some,
center?
that's what
or
I was
would
gonna
that-
say, is that something that you wanna stay at the visitor center? Because some of those are people that shouldn't be doing this.
Well, that's the
That-
thing, so
that-
you have a
that
couple
might not be in their
pieces.
job description.
Yeah, that you have a piece that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So they're doing Facebook, not so much Instagram. There's Twitter. There's there's the kind of the updating in terms of the online marketing, user-generated content. Is that a job? And it might not either a job within the visitor center, doesn't matter. But is that a job in and of itself? Because one of the things, and you have said that we need to go more online and invest there. So is this a job in terms of looking at tourism from a,
I think you're absolutely on the right track. If you do something like that, and we just go through and investigate every part of this and break it down.
yeah,
I think you know, you probably could have one person do multiple pieces
Right,
of that.
exactly, right.
At the end,
Yeah.
when it's completely
yes, I think
done, but
that's
I
a
don't
job.
think,
I think it's a job
I
too,
think it's a
it might
job.
not be a
you don't go
full-time
through it and just
job.
say, well,
It
here's
might be
this and you need a
part of
staff member for
someone's
that.
job.
A web
Yeah,
manager,
it
we
is a
need a
job.
web manager,
So,
I think the web manager and the.
something like that.
well, there's two different ones here. The web manager may on the technical side, but then there's a content marketing person
And social
who does some of the oversight of the website, you know, in terms of the look and feel, and is the brand right, is the message right? And then does also the social media, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, keeping that stuff. Does the, you know, kind of the online marketing, the boosting, the user, you know, content, all of that.
And
And
that's what I think the town's been looking at, maybe a company.
that could be a company, but it is a function, that's
It's
one
definitely
function,
done
one
function.
job. That needs to be done for both.
It's a
But
service.
yeah, it's a service, but it could be a person, it could be a
Correct.
function, you know, it could be outsourced. And it would
Because we
do it
outsource part
for,
of that, and I'm sure Katie does, and probably a lot of,
it would be
lot of
done
people
for Front Royal and for Warren County
Mhm.
together
Mhm.
in joint tourism. Okay, so that's
I think
one
this whole thing we
function.
gotta look at as together.
Yeah.
The whole,
Yeah.
you know, maybe there's a company that the town's using that the county's not, that best suits, you know, this committee, or maybe vice versa, you know, I think you have to go through that whole list and
So what about crowdsourcing volunteers and local development and community awareness? I put this together because I thought they had, you know,
To
they
me,
were
that's
somewhat
Chamber of
related.
Commerce. That's partnership with the chamber.
So trying to get local, you know, reaching out to local people and saying, you want to get involved, you know, so there's lots of things, you know, even businesses can do, but you got to ask them in terms of, can you, you know, advertise or provide this type of direction or whatever, you know, and what do you think about that? Is that one thing, like the crowd, getting volunteers together and to do whatever, promote Front Royal? And local development and community awareness, which is the ambassadors, service, training, service people, doing running the ambassador program.
Isn't that gonna be the person who's hired to do the tourism piece?
Well, should it be?
Yeah, it should be.
Thoughts on that? So we had two, one,
Mhm.
somebody in the visitor center, one who's the lead.
Can I inject, Karen?
Yep.
I'm just curious about something. The visitor center, right? We have $40,000 of merchandise. 40,000. A lot of merchandise, right?
I didn't put that on here, that's another merchandise.
So,
yeah, no, it is
so,
Yeah,
very
it's
You're gonna
very,
have
very
super
important.
sale.
Yeah, merchandising is a
You know,
really important thing, and it's a lot of work.
you know, what is the visitor center? What's its purpose? Is it to be a store to sell merchandise and to hand out literature and give people directions and input? We have great volunteers and we have great part-time people, and Tim's doing a great job. 100%. Check, 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 check. Good people, right? We have 4 part-time people, 1 full-time person managing the visitor center in order to keep the certification, the special certification through the state. So there are other ways, I think, to accomplish staffing of the visitor center. You can incorporate the same part-time people, using them for certain functions. I'm not talking about, but what's the purpose of the visitor center? And that's something I think I've been trying to talk through with folks. You know,
Do you have the counts and stuff of like traffic that goes, I mean,
Yeah,
I
we
know
got
we keep
details.
that, and
We
they
have good
just
details of that.
consistently are going down?
no, we have good, well, going down depends on time period.
Yeah.
But no, we have strong numbers, yeah. Strong numbers in the visitor center. We keep track of where they sign in by the zip code, so we know what state they're coming from and whatnot. So, you know, to me, I see the Chamber of Commerce at a location across, well, it's over here, right? And I see the visitor center downtown. To me, I see good synergy by having the Chamber of Commerce, who's running the ambassador program, right? Chamber of Commerce could be in the visitor center. I think the town would, well, I'd be willing to be an advocate of leasing it for $1. I don't think it's a matter of making revenue out of the visitors, no? So you could have the synergy of the Chamber of Commerce being there, keep some of the part-time people to, employ them in certain areas. And you could use the chamber as that fiscal agent in the short term until you really figure out, next, what's the real plan? And you guys oversee the money. To me, that makes a good,
Why the Chamber of Commerce versus another entity?
or another entity, pick another entity. But to me, I think the chamber's mission, from what I'm hearing, a lot of their mission or roles sounds like a lot of synergy with what you're proposing. The ambassador program, for instance, Chamber's been working towards the ambassador. Is that the same one we're talking about? Or is that a different one?
No, it's a different one.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Yeah, the ambassador program the chamber was working on was to help business owners working through between town and county issues.
To me, that brings up a lot of more questions than it does answers in terms of in terms of existing entities. That's kind of why I suggested we not talk about existing entities and like what is the work and should it be one type of person who should do the work or whatever, because that you kind of have to back into all the problems with that that would cause, and there's a lot of advantages but there are a lot of problems. So are they the best? We don't know. We haven't defined the job yet. We don't know if it's like saying, hire my cousin Kenny, and you have to figure out what job cousin Kenny needs to do versus here's the job and cousin Kenny's one of the candidates to get the job or whatever. And I have just a general question about that. The chamber is a member organization, is it not? And tourism is not a membership organization, it's a private membership organization. And so that would be a question, like those types of questions we would have to figure out how to work around, because one of the principles that we talked about is it's for everybody and it's for the larger destination. It isn't for any membership or any particular individual. So, I think that's why there's a lot of mistrust in that, not necessarily you, but a mistrust in the answer because it's not an objective, totally open organization. It's a membership organization. And so how would that work? So
It was done before.
I know, and
and it was done well before.
Yeah,
And you could be a little bit objective here too with the way we spend our dollars.
yeah.
Just
because
a question, because I don't know this. If it was done so well, why did it change?
Because the people in town council had nothing to do with the performance.
I
No, and I think
heard
there's a
that
lot of
you
people
said, like, I
saying
didn't
that,
know.
and that's not how it was.
So when I did the research, because again, this part of it is new to me, the tourism part. There are a lot of examples, lots of examples of where the chamber is part of the tourism. That there's lots of examples of that, which I didn't know, so I learned. There's a lot of even big places, like Sedona, I think was one of the examples. Don't quote me on that, but that the chamber is part of the tourism together, and it's one entity, and it works well. In that, and they work around the membership issues around it, and they work around in terms of. Because we are saying it's a private organization that's getting a place to operate for, let's say, $1. It brings up conflict of interest questions and whatnot. So I think we need to think about that carefully.
And I agree with you 100%. And I'm just thinking out loud right here. If you take the mountains away, you take the river away, and you take the Skyline Drive away, what do you got?
Yeah.
Why are people coming here? You take those three things away, what do you got? Privately owned businesses. That's the destination, which has the chamber and tourism. You're not going to invest here if you're not going to see a return on your investment, no matter how much you love the brewery. As much as I love golf and I love where I'm at in Rockland, if it doesn't pay for itself,
But it's not
I
every
can't
business.
survive. Correct.
I mean,
but if you take
you
the
do a good
mountains,
job of getting a lot
correct.
of businesses involved, but
But
it's
if
not
the
every
businesses
business.
aren't here,
Yeah.
there's nowhere to, what are you going to come here for? If you take the river out, the Skyline Drive, and the mountains, what do you have?
Well,
Why would they come here?
Yeah, but a lot of the businesses wouldn't be, my business wouldn't be here if we didn't have them. His business
No, I know
wouldn't be.
that. That's not fair to you.
Yeah.
You would,
No, absolutely not.
What, the restaurant and the brewery, you wouldn't,
I would not have invested in this town if it were not for the mountains.
why did you do it?
And the river and the
I'm
outdoor
just saying,
assets, absolutely.
being hypothetical, if
Yeah,
you, if,
yeah. Wouldn't be here. You just wouldn't.
Well, we're a farm, so, you know, we started as a farm.
so did we.
But we've grown into a
You
tourism
had to change.
entity, just because of the opportunity that exists in this area, and it's huge,
Yeah.
like we're all
It is.
saying.
Yeah.
It is.
You know,
Massive.
we've.
I'm not gonna do anything with the
evolved,
river and the farms.
And even.
And the Skyline Drive, I'm just
some
saying.
of it.
It's gotta work
That
together.
is the lead asset, though. I mean, and then the historic value of a historic Main Street was also, because you can't recreate any of those things.
Correct.
You can recreate a brewery, you can recreate a golf course, you can recreate all, but this stuff you cannot replicate anywhere. It's nowhere else but here. Not in this combination, not in the way that we have it. It's Skyline Drive, it's here, you know, Mile Zero is here. The Appalachian Trail, yeah.
It is where
It is, right, it's
Yeah.
just like having
Correct.
the beach, it's
Yeah.
exactly
It's
the same
exactly the
thing.
same
Yeah.
thing.
And so that's why restaurants and breweries and whatever are near the beach or near the, you know, the city or whatever, because we have all the assets. And so somebody has to manage those assets. I don't think it starts with the businesses in terms of promoting the businesses without those things. I think it's a destination.
It's all part.
Yeah, people
all-
are gonna come to the destination of those businesses. I like to think we have good food and good beer, but I don't think people are gonna drive just for that. Some people will, but not the numbers that we get. They're here for, you know, for the assets that we have. Which are amazing.
And our goal is to get them to stay. We
Is to
want them to
stay,
stay
right.
overnight.
It's been,
You know, we want them to
That's
stay
I like
over
to see the
2 nights.
numbers
We want
from-
them to stay a week.
10 years ago to now. And there's your answer. Well, how many, what's the increase in numbers? People staying and residing. Mountains haven't moved, river hasn't moved, trails haven't moved,
Well, we could
Something's
tell that
keeping 'em
from
here.
the,
and it's everything else as well that complement.
we could pull those numbers for the
Correct.
last 10 years.
I'd love to see those numbers.
So if we kept going with this, because then we could say who could do these things that, you know, that there's a piece about targeting, you know, key publications, connecting to travel writers, the earned media, you know, that definitely was something that Felicia was doing. What type of entity, not exactly who, should do that? Should it be a lead? Should it be, should it still be done? Should it be done more, less?
Is there a way to sum up, to
You mean,
paraphrase that
having,
job?
so do you mean like keeping travel writers writing stories?
Connecting to them, connecting to
Yeah,
them,
that's all your
connecting to
social
influence.
media, that's all your SEO, SEM, that's them coming and writing about the trail
She
and
would do like
said wedding
itineraries for them,
venues and, yeah, I mean, you.
But this is actually wiring it, so
that would be
one
the
of the things.
tourism director, whomever that person would
Okay,
be.
so it'd be that,
Yeah, I
okay,
mean, that would fall under, because that's all marketing.
so that's a lead.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, marketing and advertising.
I mean, that's all would fall under the
So I know
whoever that
Felicia went
tourism
to
point
a travel
person.
writers conference, so
Yeah.
she can meet travel writers, so it's like you engineer that, they don't just show up sometimes, you know, they do show up,
They do
but,
show. I mean, you
yeah.
gotta search for them. Like
Yeah.
you gotta do your homework.
Well,
and
And then how much
And
of
some
them
of those
are they
leads
getting
came
out?
from the Shenandoah Valley Travel Association and the Shenandoah Valley Partnership. You know, there's a lot of that.
It's following
Yeah.
up on the leads and connecting to the people.
Sure.
What about this piece, the event and group destination marketing and management? So this is, and I was surprised actually how many towns and cities and counties actually do this, where they do arrange site inspections. They actually go out and check the hotel and meeting space availability.
That occurs
They link the
all day.
planning,
That
yeah.
occurs all
That
Yeah.
actually used to happen here. Before, you know, when the chamber was still involved in tourism, they did hotel site inspections and that sort of stuff. So that's, you know, that's going back several years, two decades or more
It
ago.
was still occurring though, because we
Yeah.
were getting site inspections up until this past year.
Who inspects you?
The VTC sends a lead to Felicia,
Yeah.
and then they send the client, and she would come inspect the hotel for space.
So Felicia was managing that part of it. Should it
I
be?
mean, I just know we got site inspections for large
Was
conferences.
that just for the hotel?
Well, they would come in and see if the event, if they even had the guest rooms to hold the event. And if that box checked, then they would go and look at, all right, when my people are here, what other activities, and I don't know where else they went. I think they did a FAM or something, I don't know.
And this itinerary work also is part of that term. So here's your itinerary, you can, go to check in at this
Yeah,
time,
and the three
go
things that I
outdoor.
mentioned earlier with the AAA, the Uniglobe tours, and actually cystic fibrosis for the Apparition Trail, these are all people right now that are waiting for these itineraries.
Itineraries, okay. Is that something that an individual should do? Should that be part of a service, like
It should
an
be
office?
a tourism person, and then if that tourism person, we're not large enough for, typically you'd have that tourism director, whomever that person would be. And then, in a larger community, they break it out by they have individuals on their team. And then person X might be responsible for the outdoor niche market. Person A might be for the convention conference market, work more with the VTC, the Virginia Tourism Corporation in Richmond on conference leads and bringing them here for multiple days. And then, so they break it out by different people in a larger city. In this city, I don't think that's gonna happen.
That's super time consuming, I think. Doing
But
it.
it sounds like a lot,
I don't
but
think
it's
it goes
not a
with
lot.
some of the other stuff, actually. I think it's a different job.
I
So-
feel like you should have just set itineraries for different groups, or family itinerary.
You can have samples.
But to me, like the
That just
business
seems super
promotion,
time-consuming.
the business promotion piece of this, the event and group destination marketing management, and the visitor information and guidance, those all go together versus some of the online stuff, you know what I mean?
So it's more of the chamber, you're thinking?
Yeah, so like if you had an entity like the chamber / combined visitor center, if that's where we wanted to go, they would not do all of these things. They would
It's
do,
impossible
yeah, it's impossible, and that's.
to do it effectively.
To do it
You need a
effectively,
team.
right?
Yeah, you gotta have a team.
But their role would do business promotion or referral, event and group destination marketing and management, and visitor information and guidance, the one-on-one, because they know all the businesses, they keep all the businesses updated, they know, you know what I'm saying? So that is,
That's
and,
definitely fun.
Can we get that
That-
budget
yeah.
increased? I'm just being,
but if that's, that's different than
I mean, this is all
social
costing money,
media.
I mean, it's,
Social media is different than, this piece of it is much more, when you talk about a visitor center and the what you do, Nikki, this is more in this lane, I think. Yeah. And it's all about groups and outreach and whatnot. Versus, and this is also more of the smaller business to business type of thing versus the destination piece is bigger. About, the mountains and the river and the, what a beautiful place, and the videos that you have, to show where we are, and the people who are participating in the larger tourism conferences and that kind of thing might be a little bit different. This is more hands-on on the ground. I don't know, what would you guys think?
I think so.
I agree.
Sounds like a visitor center role, or.
Or whatever that is that Anthony is.
Sounds like these places need a lot more staff.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it's a
no, but
lot
I
of
think,
work.
I think some of this that because we don't know what we have availability to
Yeah.
at this point in time, so it looks huge.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not as bad as we're thinking it is, maybe.
You don't have to do it all this year.
Correct.
And you learn by living with it. I mean, if you're reorganizing and you're truly reorganizing and truly restructuring, then you do the best that you can, and
What you have.
and then you learn. Hey, we put this responsibility over here with this entity, and they don't have time to do it, or they don't understand it. They don't know how to do it. So I mean, it's something that can.
And that's okay to say you don't know.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
say it a lot. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just,
And you
sometimes I have
can't
an idea.
start out by
And she says it all the
hiring a
time,
huge
that I-
staff because you think you have a huge job.
Correct.
You start out with what you think you need and what you think you can make work.
To me, the more important thing is, this could be one person, but to me, it's the focus. That whoever does this is their job,
Yes.
and we hold them accountable for this job versus, just doing the whole thing.
Right,
And,
because
that's,
one person can't do
right.
the whole thing.
And-
We've seen that.
We've asked one person to do the whole thing before, actually, I think.
Mhm.
And so, what is this job, and then what are the metrics for this job, and how do we hold them accountable for this versus the marketing, the larger marketing job of which of course there are connections, but the larger marketing job of the website and the bigger assets for Front Royal and Warren County, that type of job is a different job. There might be 3 tourism jobs here, including ours.
Doesn't it all fall back to your vision? What is you're starting it now, and what is your vision for the next 6 months?
It's very,
What is your vision for the next 12 months? And you can't eat the elephant with one bite, so put it into a 3 or a 5 year plan and just go with it. You're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
it sounds like there is like the local kind of marketing, there's this local piece, the action piece, there's a marketing piece, and then there's an oversight piece. Sounds like there's 3 jobs here.
That you gotta look at
Yeah.
first.
3 functions.
3 functions, 3 functions. And it shouldn't be just one, I don't know.
No, I agree.
So is that what we recommend then?
I don't know, I mean, that's the way, when I look at
It's
it,
a
I
place to
see,
start.
this is so big, I don't think one person should have to do that because they would possibly be spread too thin and not do it well.
And I agree with Mr. Vick. I don't
Yeah.
think we have to take it all on
No,
right
right,
now.
yeah.
We just dissect the most important items for us, for the tourism committee, and see what we can handle.
Yeah.
And see what we have to work with. We don't even know what we have to work with.
Right.
But we can propose it. And
This is what I would like.
Yeah, we know we need the marketing piece, so
Mhm.
how would that best be done?
Do any organizations have a destination marketing organization and a convention visitors bureau? Do they
I
both?
would say the extremely big cities, so you wouldn't do both here.
You would
No,
do,
it's
but
not.
the functions could be
The
both, yeah.
functions would be much smaller,
Yeah.
cause, yeah.
There
Yeah.
could be 2 leads to one and another.
I think right now, because we're trying to figure it all out, it's just kind of fall under this destination marketing.
I'm sorry, I have to. I'm sorry.
Bye,
Do good
see,
work.
Billy.
You're gonna be the new head of tourism.
The
Person
voluntold,
who leaves.
It's not wise to leave.
Don't leave it.
the voluntold positions.
I don't wanna monopolize it, that's what I thought, there's 3 big functions here. Vision, oversight function, which this board can do that. A good question is, what do we do with the budgeting market, managing the budget? There's a
What are our
big marketing
What are our options as far
function,
as-
a
The
big-
the option could be the chamber. Not to throw that out, just because Mr. Tederick had that. That was a good idea for a setup, I thought.
What besides the chamber are options?
Or, I don't know about the visitor center, because I don't know how the visitor center works. Other than that, I'm not sure. I mean, there's nothing really that the county has.
To me, the last meeting
It'd
we
have to be a
had,
separate organization.
So we would have to hire,
It would have to be a separate
yeah.
organization.
I mean, one of the things
Somebody
you're saying,
like
it could be
what
a
else is there?
destination marketing organization that you hire out, totally outsourced,
Maybe
you
not even
hire
the
out,
visitors.
that does it, it's a professional organization
And they
that just does
And they
that.
report to you, this board.
Yeah,
But the money is flowed through
There's money in
a fiscal agent.
foreclosures.
So whether the chamber, the town, or the county.
I think
Or even
Winchester
have-
has
or
one of those,
even-
right?
Yes.
I mean, really, or even the regional planning commission maybe.
Does the Winchester have a destination marketing organization?
Well, the downtown
That's
Winchester is using Dario Savarese
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
Not for everything, but for most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
they have a
Gary
He
would
does, he
know,
does
yeah.
quite a bit too.
Yeah, he would know.
They have a marketing firm.
Who manages all that?
I think it's the Winchester Tourism.
Justin,
They have
Visitor Bureau.
the CBB,
Yeah, the Visitor
Justice
Bureau.
Group.
So they have it in
Yeah.
two different functions. They have one that they do
Yeah, they
the
have budget.
marketing piece, and then they do the CBD piece separately, so that's two different functions. That
Yeah,
could,
it's Justice CBB.
Yeah, so they have bylaws,
Does he
and
manage
they don't
that
have budget
marketing
oversight.
problem?
Winchester,
Yeah,
Frederick
because
County
I work
Tourism
a lot
Board.
with him.
Y'all can just glance through it if you want.
oh, you have it.
That makes sense.
most of these ones.
So if I could maybe inject, Carrie, I'm gonna have to run,
Yep.
I'm already 15 minutes late, but I don't think from our perspective, we need a lot. I just think we need general direction, and so that I can add this into the mix of suggestions. I think our council would entertain everything I've heard today. I don't think anything's gonna be alarming to any of them. They'll want to tweak it, they'll want to have a town council member probably on this board, and you'll want to have a board of supervisor member on the board, and maybe the county administrator and town managers on this board, and then all the stakeholders. But I don't
You just
think,
need a general direction.
I just think we need a general direction, and I'll add this to the conversation. And what I think my job is as town manager is to propose options to council. I propose them options, I propose them my recommended option, and then they decide. And I execute their vision, so. I think they're on the right path. I like what I heard.
Lots of emails starting to fly, I can see it.
What does that mean?
Y'all are
Not
gonna,
from me,
y'all are
no
gonna-
more from me.
y'all are gonna be talking through emails on some of these things.
Okay. I mean, I don't know enough
send it
about
to us, or-
the abilities of a combined visitor center, chamber of commerce to do these two functions, these two main functions versus the one function
Thanks, Matt.
versus,
Thanks, Matt.
Good to see you.
I don't know enough about that.
Tell me.
How do we find out about that if that's,
We don't know
We have-
either.
I think
Take a
he's
field
here,
trip.
but, huh?
Let's take a field trip.
I'm trying to get the director of tourism for Roanoke, Pete, to come
Yeah.
and speak to you guys. He's a wealth of information. And I think I told you last time, he just came back from being invited to speak at Outdoor Retailer in Denver about a month ago about this exact same thing,
Yeah.
about local tourism and how it relates actually to outdoor recreation, but in the bigger picture. And they are just thriving in Roanoke. I mean, it's on fire right now. with this
It's a
exact
really
same
difficult thing because, and
It's like Asheville.
when you
Yeah,
research it,
they're
yeah,
competing with
Asheville
that. They're
is a
competing
great
with
What
model.
happened there in the
Yeah.
last 20 years?
Yeah, Asheville is a great model for us, but it is a really difficult thing because people have, done tourism office, they've done the chamber, some have hated it, some have loved it, so it's all over the place, so it's really what
What everybody can live with.
what everybody can live with, and what skill sets that they can have or build within there. And then we have to mitigate against the downsides of it being a private organization and a membership organization. And then the structure of that too. Because I think people do have, there's, part of the outrage of it was it's a private organization. It's not, so there's gonna be outrage whether you outsource it there to, or a marketing organization to anybody else because, it's not.
So there was negative comments made or outrage by whom?
Just in general, in the media, in terms of just a question about why would you do that with so I think that's out
Maybe
there.
they could cohabitate in one facility. Maybe that would help. And then they have. I don't know. I think they work, just to me, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't.
They definitely work hand in hand.
They do. I mean, did you go to the chamber before
I
you
think,
opened up
yeah.
your businesses? Did you visit
No.
the chamber
Yes, we
or
did.
the
Yeah,
or
we
the
did.
visitor
Yeah.
center? Did you visit the visitor center?
No.
You did not.
No.
So you just invested here based on chamber findings
I didn't
and
go to
personal.
either of them when we invested, or neither of them.
Yeah.
I went to Felicia and Jeremy, And they were incredibly helpful in terms of, what we needed to do with building on Main Street. In fact, I would not have built on Main Street had it not been for the two of them. I did not go to the chamber, I did not go to the visitor center. I live in Linden, I live in the county, I knew enough about the businesses here, but I needed to know more about the building. Then my next step was the county to understand what the building requirements are.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think I said last time. I called the chamber when I was moving here because I needed statistics for schools and demographics, and I wanted to know where the best area was going to be to put my family. But if I'm going to Dallas, Texas, I'm not going to call the chamber. See where I'm going to go visit.
Well,
on the CBP site,
I'm not advocating either way.
Yeah.
Tourism is vitally important.
I'm just thinking.
Tourism is vitally important regardless of where it goes and who's administering it, that sort of stuff. But what I can tell you is, I don't answer the phones a lot at the office because we have somebody who does that, but about half of the phone calls that we receive every day are asking about visiting this area. So, and you'd be surprised at the number of people. I tell my board members this all the time. You'd think with the advent of Google and all of that people are just Googling phone numbers, but they're really not. They're still making phone calls and asking for information. Now, we filter the vast majority of those people, of course, to the visitor center. We'll give them the number for the visitor center, but we receive on average, at least 4 or 5 phone calls a day, people wanting information to visit the area.
That's probably because where they live, it's a chamber, there's a chamber function,
Yeah, absolutely.
With that. I would never, because I never lived in a place that had, that's the last place I would think of, actually, because I always thought the chamber again, it's a membership organization that you go if you want to open a business or whatever.
Right, it's true. It's where you're from.
It's from where you're from.
So. But there, and we've talked about it at the table, there are a number of different ways that these sorts of things are set up, and there's a lot of communities where, it's very successful, the chamber and tourism being housed together, and, there are some communities where, I can't even believe I'm going to say this out loud, but EDAs and tourism are housed together.
Right.
Different things like that.
Too.
So there's a lot of models.
Yep, there's models with that too.
To look at. And
so,
yeah.
But together, I think one of the stumbling blocks is to think of those two things together and doing exactly what they're doing today. Those two things together would not do what they're doing today. They would do more of this, more holistic, and the work would change for both of those entities. For the chamber, it would change. You'd have to answer the phone differently. For the visitor center, it would change because now you're more integrated. So it's not putting those two together. It's using those assets and building something brand new. Would you agree with that?
I don't think you're wrong there. I mean, there's certainly things that would change for sure.
Okay. So where do you guys want to go from here in terms of, I don't know enough on the chamber and the visitor center to say that those are the entities. I feel clear that what the functions are, just having done the research on that, but
should you, in part of your proposal, should you just ask the question of the county or the county and the town, we feel that it needs an office space of its own, where would you suggest that we put it? Because we've got people that'll know if we've got additional space out in the county, and town of course knows where they've got additional space. Maybe it's not all in the chamber, or maybe it's not all in the visitor center, but maybe we've got something that will work for everybody. So I wouldn't be so hard and fast to actually say we want to put it all in visitor center. There are some things that you could leave open, I'm sure.
yeah, and
the big question is who the person is going to report to and who's the fiscal agent.
Yes, right.
Those are
Right.
Yeah.
big questions.
Yeah.
And what's your proposed budget, and what's your structure, and what is your vision over the short period and actually a long period?
Well, when I talk about the visitor center, and that's my fault, I didn't clarify, visitor center and the chamber, I'm not talking about the places, I'm talking about the functions of those two. It doesn't matter really where it goes, and the visitor center is great because it's, you have it there, but the question is, should it be those individuals that are doing the work, those functions that are doing the work, should we bring them together? I don't know enough about that, whether they can handle this type of work and, you know, what the past performance has been. I'm newer to that. But how do we answer that question if we're gonna do a proposal?
So like, is the visitor center already doing itineraries for anyone?
Individually,
Right.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be good to find that out, just their different tasks already.
Well, maybe Tim needs to come to your next meeting, or your meeting where you decide to get that visitor center involved.
I've written so many itineraries for groups
Yeah.
coming to Front Royal that I've handed out to people.
Well, the reason you do is because
That's,
not
I'm
all-
trying to sell
Right.
the experience that you're talking about.
yeah, right. The, and Nikki, maybe you can educate us more on the, you know, what the functions, current functions are of the, of the chamber, and what in this realm can they do and do at this point, you know? I don't know, that would help me. I mean, I don't want to assume what they do, I can
Sure.
guess, but I don't want to assume in
Yeah.
terms of what do you, so for instance, questions I would have is, do you track visitors? Do you, you know, assess revenue? Do you, you know, what, do you do these itineraries right now? And do you do them for individuals? Do you do them for groups? Is there a service center that they can come and ask you for this? Do you refer them to somebody else when they ask you for that? You know, beyond answering the phone with some of these questions, are you
Right.
doing this work?
Well, it really,
Center maybe.
it really depends, you know, if there's a tourism person, the vast majority of the time, of course, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
We'll refer them to the tourism department. But, you know, I have a lot of walk-in visitors, and, you know, there's a lot of times where we'll have people come in and, you know, I'll sit down with them and, you know, set things up like that. It just depends. So is it
Individuals.
something, yes.
Yeah.
Is it something we could do? Sure. Is it something that we should be doing? I think we'll all figure out the answer to that question. But, yeah, there's a lot, you know, and I'm happy to provide you with like what our program of work is. You know, and talk about the festivals, you know, and the amount of tourism and advertising that we do to bring people to Front Royal and Warren County just simply for those. So I've got a lot of stuff that I can
And
help you with.
marketing, so it sounds like you have the visitors information, the one-on-one guidance you're doing.
Sure.
For sure, and that's somewhat duplicative of the visitor
Sure.
center. Event and group destination marketing, do you do any of that, or you refer it
Well,
always?
we do event marketing, of course, for our, you know, the two large festivals that we
Right.
we do. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of targeted marketing, of course, because, you know, we've got that population that with disposable income that we want to come to Front Royal and Warren County. We want them to spend their money all over the place. And so we're working on expanding one of our festivals because we really want to highlight the outdoor recreation components
Right.
to our community and how important those are. So we've got a lot of that too.
And then the business promotion referral, that's what you're about, so that's covered. And then what about all of like the online marketing, social media sites? Is that you're just doing it for yourself, or is that, you know, something that you're heavily into in terms of?
Well, so when you look at our chamber mission, our mission, of course, our members are first, of course, as they should be. But part of our mission is creating a vibrant community. And so as we're doing social media marketing, all of those things, we're always working to promote the community and shed the best light possible because we want people to visit here. We're always highlighting our members, of course. Like I love when you put the pretty pictures of the beer up because they are always super popular on our Facebook page. But we've got, 3,000 people who aren't just Front Royal and Warren County who are liking our page because either they visited here or they've come to a festival. For the Wine and Craft Festival, for example, we've got 6,000 people who are following that page. And we're trying to do yearly posts, about the fun things that are going on here and,
How
those
many
sorts of
followers
things.
on your Facebook
On the
page?
Chamber's Facebook
Yeah.
page, 2,500.
Okay, so which is not a lot, and there's not a ton on the town. Do you think that function we need more expertise in?
I think
yeah.
Matt was right where you know, we don't host our website, we don't design our website, we don't
Money
do, that's not our
that
forte. We pay for, the town doesn't, the county probably doesn't either. They pay somebody to do it, that would be.
And to do the marketing associated with it. So not
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
build it
Absolutely.
technically, but.
The boosting and,
Yeah.
and so forth,
Yeah.
and let,
Needs to be out.
Yeah,
and when they say, we have a meeting with them, what's the results for this quarter, this year?
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
like that.
Well,
Yeah.
Ray, I
There's
know
your-
you're not on the
Because no
committee.
individual's gonna be able to handle all that. They can manage it,
Yeah.
they can't.
I think that's.
so a destination marketing like company that does that piece of it, plus this potential
This is good.
combined.
Market's more than
That's
anybody
what I
I've
was
ever
gonna
seen in my
say.
life.
Yeah.
We just,
I mean,
Part of it is national
are
marketing.
you in your
though.
comfort zone?
no, not,
That's all I know.
none of my marketing's national, it's
Okay.
all local.
Do you do it all yourself?
No, we outsource it.
Yeah.
What we
Yeah.
do is, what you've said here today, what you've said in excellent points you have, is you have a lot of verticals
Yeah.
that need to be managed. And so therefore, there's a lot of companies that do those verticals and wrap them up. And what it'd take an entire person to do that, you can do them in small segments. But to answer your question, you know, all that stuff is managed by an outside marketing person. Everything you guys have said today, I would actually take this and I'd put it out to 3 or 4 marketing companies, ask them to come back with your ideas on what we can do and what is your proposal
Our
to
direction.
do, and help us with our direction. Because
Both pieces or just the marketing piece?
not the local piece at the tourism center, but a lot of this is marketing.
Yeah, all right,
I mean,
absolutely.
the majority of this is all marketing, and therefore you can get this on an outsourced side,
Yeah.
get a proposal for it,
Yeah.
and then you got something to work with.
Yeah.
Wow, you know, because guess what? As smart as everybody is in this room, we don't do that.
Right,
We're outsourcing it at the club now.
Yeah.
Because it's just too big.
yeah.
It's gotten way too
I
big.
mean, it can be like as big as.
Even at our
I have a
brewery, we
question.
have a dedicated marketing
Yeah, I mean, it's just-
person.
And none of ours, by the way,
Dedicated.
none of
yeah.
ours is national that we do. Everything is local. I have a company that we pay to manage most of it. The only thing we do locally is we manage our website locally. Tina does all the management, of our Facebook page.
Social media.
And all the
Yeah.
social media in the
Yeah.
Instagram and I don't even think we do Twitter. I don't know our account, but she does all that on the local side, and she does that every single day. That is a time consuming piece that even a marketing company could do for you because they have people that they do that, and you don't have the overhead to carry that burden. You don't have that, the FICA, et cetera, and that's why you can get it.
Well,
get all
and
those things
Discover
that you-
Front Royal is outsourced, but it's not what we're talking about here. This is more comprehensive
Yeah.
marketing.
I don't think
Yeah,
we
bigger
even.
picture.
As a matter of fact, there's a process called a charrette process. You've probably heard of that, where you find exactly who your customer is, and then we figure out, because not only who your customer is, but what are you? What is Front Royal?
That's another piece, yeah,
Is it
yeah.
is it golfing? Is it hiking? Is it canoeing? Is it restaurants? Is it
Everything.
That's what I
is.
think this board can do
Yeah,
with the lead,
Correct.
this board should do that piece of it. That shouldn't be a marketing person deciding that for you, who you wanna be.
But the process,
Yeah.
like a charrette
They could
process,
facilitate it, yeah.
they would facilitate and they'd figure out what is Front Royal,
Yeah.
and you might find out it's a lot more than you think it is, and then they may have some different points of views that we don't come up with.
And what Front Royal was 10 years ago is not what Front Royal today.
Right.
And we
So that's
have to
gonna
be careful
ever
though,
developing.
because we've done these branding exercises, but they're apart from the work. So we have to connect the branding exercise to the
Yes.
work, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so we should have them do this, they could lead us through that process,
Correct.
because this is where the work would
That's-
be
that's
oversaw,
their
and we would
forte.
continue with it versus do it and it sits over here on a shelf somewhere, right?
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
to have some ownership in what we're doing. They just couldn't come around and ask a few questions and say, okay, this is what I think you are. I mean, this process would take 6 months to a year possibly to find out what it is and who you want to market to.
Dissect
How
everything.
you want to get them here, and like what is this piece or these 50 pieces to everything that you have here, and
But we want to do the short, cheaper version of that.
Yeah,
and you have the ability to that. You have the ability to do
I
that.
think we have a lot of the information that we could give these people to analyze the information.
Yeah.
How many golfers we have, how many hotel stays, how many overnight stays do we have per year? You know, how many customers do you have? I mean, I'm sure
Those
whoever's
numbers-
in that position,
Let's talk about
Can
that
help.
analytics, because that can be a
Right,
very
that's huge.
sophisticated piece. Does that go with the marketing piece? Do you do the analytics, you know?
I think
For-
I would go with the marketing.
Yeah,
No, it'd be
yeah, that
Yeah.
would be, come right out of the
Yeah.
marketing.
Which actually is good, because then it's separate from the day-to-day. There's a conflict of interest if it's, because you make your own numbers look good.
yeah, that's true.
So,
So,
real
just
quick
a
before
quick
you
question,
leave.
and I don't know the answer, but does the VTC have any resources to tap
Oh, well,
into?
that's, because I was just thinking that,
I mean,
yes,
I
they
was
do.
at a meeting last week with all the DMOs,
Uh-huh,
and I didn't even think about asking because
Yeah.
it was a really long meeting, but
sure,
there's
oh,
so
absolutely,
much.
they do,
But
and.
there's no vendors or
Right, well, and when we're talking about, when we're talking about charrettes or, facilitators, that sort of stuff, yes. They have those services, we could call on them to help us with that.
I just thought
Um,
maybe.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. They've got a lot of services that, and they could probably even help us with drilling down some of these numbers.
That's true.
to-
Or have vendors because they work with so many
Right.
people, so
Uh-huh.
many DMOs.
Absolutely.
So Katie, before you leave, just let me summarize where I think we are. In terms of, it sounds like, we believe there should be a joint effort here. There should not be Front Royal, Warren County. We believe that our job would be to help make a proposal in terms of generally the direction to structure, not specifically, but generally. That there's potentially 3 functions here in terms of there's this vision, oversight, budgeting function versus the marketing analytics function versus the kind of all the visitors bureau and the itineraries
Kind
of
of
the
a sales,
day-to-day.
it's a sales function.
Sales function, yep. So there's 3 functions. And then I don't think I've worked through exactly, we need more information in terms of who. One of the proposals is the Chamber of Commerce and Visitor Center to do that 3rd function, the day-to-day. And a potential proposal would be to outsource the marketing.
social
The
media,
marketing
of course.
one. And then the other one would be us in terms of the oversight and with an outstanding question about what we would do with the budgeting piece of it, the technical management of the budget. So where do we want to go from here before you leave? We want to have another meeting? Do we need more information?
I think it's a good idea to have another meeting and bring Tim and Nikki to talk about their functions currently.
I can, if you'd like, I'll reach out to VTC and see what resources exist. I'll call and see what, yeah.
I think if we did this, my understanding, it would seem like we would need to compete it, would we not? Because you're an outside, you can't just award, right? How would that work? Do we would need to compete it to other organizations? And I don't know if there's anybody that we would even.
I think you should start with the VTC
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Karen,
our
how's
largest
No,
tourism.
I'm
organization.
talking about if we went to go.
You're talking about like sending it out to RFP or something like
Yeah,
that.
or
for the
yeah,
services.
to chamber.
So
So
for like a marketing part of it, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
Not-
sure.
Yes,
Not
for
that.
marketing, yes, but also for the chamber, they're a private entity. They're not part of we're just gonna move it from here to here. Don't we have to send it out to
That's
RFP?
a council.
I don't know the answer to that,
Yeah,
so,
that's a
so
good
we
question.
can find out the answer to
Technically,
that.
I think it has to be an RFP. I mean, whether we say, yeah, that's a good proposal, we should consider that. You would have to bid
You
on
have the
that.
town and the county that's part of that, so that you got, I'm sure you have some type of, if there is legal, there's legal on both sides.
Yeah, and that's,
You see what
yeah.
I'm
Well, you're
saying?
talking,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'm saying if we said, okay, we want a combined entity with an organization
With a
that
private-
does chamber-like stuff and the visitor center, which is part of the town, we want to combine those 2, you would have to bid on it because you're an outside
Don't we
organization.
receive money from town and county
No,
at all?
no, we are,
Nothing.
we are,
And if I may,
Is that right?
let's say that you did something, let's say that you said, okay, we'd like the chamber to run it in an interim basis until we figure out what we're doing. The chamber itself wouldn't want to do that because they would need some security because they would have to move from building A, which
Right,
they're
right,
in,
absolutely,
to building
right,
B,
right.
so it wouldn't be viable for them. It sounds good to move it, and however, you just couldn't do that without like a 3 or 5 year commitment for the
Right,
entity
right.
to move. It wouldn't be worth
But
the while.
in order to send taxpayer dollars to a chamber, to the chamber to do that, you'd have to have an RFP. That's technically, is that correct? Is that?
Is
The
it-
Code of Virginia requires an RFP for anything
Over a
over
certain dollar
$20,000.
Yeah, so
Any,
that would be,
anything
yep.
over $20,000 required.
Well, and yeah,
A competitive
We're setting
bid.
up
Yeah.
an organization,
Right,
though, because
yeah.
we're setting up, I just don't know.
But why,
Yeah.
why
I mean, there
them
would
and why
have to
not
be an
Farmwell
MO.
Brewing Company running it?
There would
Why
have to
not
be
Gary
MOUs
running it?
and
Why not, you know?
That's a good point.
those
Right.
sorts of things.
Yeah, you'd have to do,
Can only certain people, yeah, who's with the whole fiscal agent thing, I don't know, there's so many questions.
Since you're joining two,
yeah, but one's
even if
private.
it, even if it was,
Like, why her and why not my
I'm just
marketing
saying-
organization down the street that can do it? Right?
yeah, but I mean, if you just did it in-house, is there a way to do it between the town and the county?
Oh, yes, I would think so, right?
Where it wouldn't
probably
have to go to
work through that
RFP? Where it wouldn't have to go to an
memorandum of
RFP?
agreement of some sort, right?
An
Yes,
MOU,
okay.
yeah, a memo of understanding. That I know the
That
chamber
we're each
previously
gonna-
had one, and the EDA, because you know the EDA had tourism for a couple of years there too, so they had an MOU for that as well. So
That'd be great. That'd be a great period for you to figure this thing out, by the way, because you do have to figure out what you're doing. And, you know, if you did, like, say if you did an MOU for a couple, 3 years, and it would be entertaining to whatever private entity you want. You know, if it's allowable, then you could do that, and then you can figure out really, because there's no way you're gonna figure out what this thing's gonna be for what you guys are talking about, because until you get your feet in the weeds.
Oh, right, right.
You know that? I mean, it's love to at least see the verticals. You know, what I find amazing sitting here is that there's so many more people like thinking like-minded that want to get people here and want this community to thrive and create all these extra jobs that this ain't create by the numbers. You gotta have measurable matrix that you're looking at. For example, you talked about the sales entity part of this thing.
Yeah.
Do you know that, you know, it probably involved in this, you could probably hire a salesperson to go out and do the things that you want, and get people here and pay, and give them some metrics to
Absolutely,
measure on to where they would actually be
Absolutely.
hungry as opposed
Yes.
to being, I don't wanna say this disrespectfully, but as opposed to being somebody that's cemented into a job that really has no ambition to go out and to go out and
Motivation.
get that, no motivation, no
Incentives.
carrot, you know, to go out and get that for the community if they were cemented into this job and it was over encompassing like it sounds like it is, as much work as there is for.
Well, if you're doing just the sales piece of it, yeah, you would have sales metrics and you'd probably be leveraged, you'd have bonus.
Well, maybe,
Right on.
what if you looked at something like that and you didn't, you know, no disrespect to Nikki, but maybe you incorporate the chamber into the same facility. You know, I worked with a great neurologist or neurosurgeon, Bob Kendall, and he started it. We've done a lot of fundraising for our health. So basically, that's a building that encompasses about 30 different nonprofit agencies, United Way, Healthy Mothers, I mean, so on and so forth, where it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
So what if the town and the county created this position where you don't have to send out the RFP, you don't have to make it more complicated. We give them the structure or kind of the guidelines.
But they can't get any money. So if they're gonna get any money, how much is it over, how much?
Well, I'm trying to
No, they
verify
could get
that
money,
for
they
you
could
right
get
now.
money
I'm not-
because it would be
Code
a,
of Virginia,
can you do something where
Virginia Public Procurement Act.
like the town and county could, let's say we just,
Yeah, town and county.
let's say
could
it's
do
you,
it,
let's
but-
say
but
you
a
say, I
private
don't wanna do this.
organization. But a private organization.
No, they work for the town and the county, is there a way to form that?
Contract.
Yeah, we would have a joint
It's not
employee,
individually, they're
we have a
employed by the
joint
town and
employee.
county, by this board,
Who is?
whoever we select.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. The question is, do we need an RFP? You can't just take a private entity and throw it in with a public entity. We need an RFP,
Take the chamber
right?
completely out of the
Yeah.
picture.
Town or the
Take the
county
chamber
should be the
completely
fiscal
out of-
agent.
Yeah,
Take the chamber completely out of the picture.
yeah.
They're just in the same building.
Yeah.
You send them a rent, you send them an invoice every month for rent.
Yes, you could have a joint employee.
And then you have it, we create a position,
Right.
whoever it is, that's paid for by this committee with funds from the town and
Yep,
county.
yep.
We don't have to send it out to RFP then, would we?
No,
Well, we would have to be a fiscal agent somehow,
Correct.
you know, our board. I don't know how to go about setting that up.
but you'd have to have a wall between the chamber couldn't get any tax money,
Or the town and county.
right? So
There's a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki's organization would have to do exactly what it's doing today with the same amount of funding. If we're asking them to take on some more of this role, a broader role, we want to give them tax money to be able to do that. That requires an RFP. You can't just name an organization.
Under a certain
Yeah,
amount.
yeah.
Under a certain amount, you don't have to
Small
acquire
amount,
it.
20. So if you were gonna give them rent free or like, you know, that's dollars too.
I'm just throwing it out there. No, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not
Yeah,
saying
yeah,
giving
yeah.
any private entity
Yeah,
any
no.
money.
Exactly.
They would
right,
have to
right.
pay to play. But what I'm
'Cause-
saying is,
yeah.
have them under the same roof.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to charge them $1. I don't have, whatever
But
you gotta
you
charge.
can't, because I want that deal. If I have a
think
marketing
you can do
agency,
that.
I want
Mhm.
that
I
deal.
think you can do that.
But
though,
why,
under the joint
maybe
board.
another organization, you know, this has nothing to do with the chamber's ability, but another organization would say, hey, I want that deal, I want a $1 rent, and I'll do this stuff for a $1 rent, and I'll do it better than them. So that requires an RFP.
You can contact me, I'm already doing
If
it.
the
Yeah,
employee
right.
was a
You'll do
joint-
it for-
if the
right, for a
employee
dollar
was a
rent,
joint
right?
Selling it.
Right? You'll do it.
The
Gary will do it for
salespeople.
$1.
So I think-
I charge him way more than $1 for his.
Yeah.
This requires a little bit of research. I think, you know, one of the
We're just
things.
throwing darts
Yeah,
down
yeah,
all
yeah.
the way around, so it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
One of the things, that we can do is do some research between now and our next meeting. I
Yes,
think we
right.
need to have another meeting
Yes.
relatively soon. And, we can figure out how some of these other organizations work through that. And VTC probably will have some information
Should
that
have
will
something.
be helpful as well.
How do you find your legal question? Who answers that for you?
We have a county
Yeah.
attorney, and the town has its own attorney,
Right.
Mhm.
so we could find out what
All the questions we're asking right now should be able to
should be
answered by.
available
Yeah,
by
sure.
other. I just sent an email to find out
Thank
the
you.
threshold for an RFP, and again, so if the pattern holds true, if you guys become a nonprofit, so to speak, or your own entity, we give money. I mean, the county allocates certain monies to nonprofits, and then they spend it as they wish, and there's no RFP. But
Well,
you
that's
have,
a
yeah,
technical.
that
Yeah.
exactly.
And
so
I think we should be on board, like, in terms of like, on the
Oh.
up and up, if there's like a loophole, I
Of
don't think we
course.
should take it. This
Of
should,
course.
these are
It's
taxpayer
not-
dollars,
it's
we
not a
should
loophole.
pick the best
Mhm.
possible entity to manage that, and I didn't mean to say that.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, for instance, we have different organizations that come in and say we're doing good work for X, Y, and Z, and we want this in our budget, and we're asking for the county's contribution of X dollars for our
Yeah.
budget for this year, and then they have someone who manages, an executive director who manages
Yeah.
that budget, and but it depends on how you structure
So
it.
that's
and I-
differently if they're doing the county's work.
Right.
If the volunteer work is the county's work, that's different.
Yeah, our
the-
money has to go. We have the
Yes.
tax that has
Right,
to
you
go.
have a
Yeah.
different codified.
Yeah.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
So you have another aspect where you have to
Yeah.
take the
Well, I guess we gotta really
taxes and
know
it has to
what
be
we can and can't
allocated.
do, period.
Yeah.
Right.
What can we do, what can't we do?
And we can get those answers
And then we can
relatively
pick who we
quickly.
want.
And then
Yeah.
regardless
We can-
if it's the chamber or whoever else,
Mhm.
Joe's marketing organization, whether we need to do an RFP. Sounds like we do. I think it's gonna be more than $20,000 that they're gonna be managing and
sure.
working, we're gonna be providing
yeah.
them, or whatever the threshold is. So it sounds like that would be part of the process. And in that process, we might not need to know as much about what the chamber needs to do right now, because you just bid on it, So you bid on it, and then the powers that be, whoever that is, it's probably us, has to sort that out and then award that contract.
To me, when I made this statement, last week before last, I'd like to see the chamber and, the tourism work together, because
Yeah.
they're just so close.
Yeah.
And all we talk about is, let's prevent the overlapping. Let's go forward, let's stop, some of the print, let's go, more with the times.
But we should be open to say, if there's another entity out there and they bid and
If it
it's
saves
better,
us money,
Yeah.
if it
It's
saves
and
the
it's better.
taxpayers money,
it's better, and it's, a better price or it's better, we should just, we could potentially go with that.
Absolutely. But we need structure, and what you've started here is it's a pretty damn good start, I think.
So again, so there's this is the piece that we were talking about, this piece on the bottom, which is like the on the ground type work. That would be this combined visitor center with some other entity. That's the answer to that. Visitor center, some other entity of which the chamber could bid on that piece of it. They have a lot going for it because it sounds like they have some history with that and some ability to do that, but they would bid on that joint entity. The other one would be an outside marketing organization that would do destination marketing, would handle website, social media, kind of get the word out there of the larger destination.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the two pieces. And then the third piece is the oversight piece, which would be this board.
Correct. I think that's a good start. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
Karen, are you able to write that all up?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it
Sounds like-
immediately.
Yeah. Sounds
Roger, you
like
taking minutes?
So when is our next
I know,
meeting?
we have the video.
When are we meeting next?
Do you wanna do March 11th, which would be our typical meeting? That's
What's
2
today?
weeks.
27th.
But I don't know
Today,
if you can
27th,
get-
26th.
26.
I think the sooner the better. I mean, we
I agree.
wasted
That's
too much
2
time.
weeks.
Let's do
I
next.
think you need to hear from that
Let's do it
gentleman
next week.
that this gentleman here brought up, the gentleman that brought
Roanoke.
from
Come
Roanoke.
on up,
Yeah.
Pete. Yep.
if you could get
I'd
to
like
us,
for him to
that'd
come
be
speak.
Maybe
great.
got him and
Great,
then some
great
assets
insight.
from the VTC.
Yeah.
They got so many resources.
Yeah, and I think it's
seriously.
probably good to get a big picture.
Could they come and speak to us too?
I can find out.
Yeah, that'd be
certainly.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And dial in.
We want to do as best of a job as we can with the limited time as we have.
So I guess we need to see when they're available.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll reach out to them tomorrow, and see how quickly we could get a representative here.
Maybe they could talk to us about the varying structures out there, how they're financed, what they typically, what the results are, and maybe a little bit in terms of, the resources that they provide.
Yeah.
So we can plug them into this
And how the
picture
money
too.
works. How the money works. If they,
Yeah,
Mechanics.
because
we don't
that's
use
going to be
them
the
enough,
first.
too.
That's going to be the first question from taxpayers.
yeah,
Sure.
How
Well,
are you paying for
and,
this?
right,
yeah,
Where's my money going?
yeah.
and I think we can get some of that too from some of the other, the folks that,
Any other ideas?
yeah.
Or methods that they're using?
Thank you for doing that. That
Yeah, I
was-
had to do it for myself because I don't know. I have to look it up and see.
No, I
what's
think a
going
lot of
on
times
there.
too, we leave meetings and we have a lot of great topics, but and suggestions and ideas, and it's hard to write everything down. But you can watch it on the Examiner here. Sure.
I did my hair, so I have a good hairdo. It looks better than last time.
I'm just glad to see.
By this time of day.
Not once.
I'm exhausted.
I haven't really heard any negatives in the last 2-3 meetings about the town, about the county. I haven't heard any negatives. Like, well, this is the way we've always done it. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that.
Well, we don't know. I mean, so we're trying.
I'm glad
We're
you don't know
struggling.
because we do know.
Yeah, we do.
It's a refreshing
I don't know
change.
either. I don't know.
It's a refreshing change. It really
It's
is.
trying to discover what's the best to do. We're
Moving
kind of
forward.
thrown into the situation and
Mhm.
say, okay, now what do we need to do? We just.
Because I think this is new for everybody. I think that a lot of these things the town and county already do on their own, but I think it's all new for us.
It's critical to our businesses
Oh,
too.
it's,
Yeah, super
yes,
critical.
it's a vital
So,
function of our community.
Yeah,
It is.
we want to do it the best way we can.
Okay, so you'll email out?
Yes.
Okay.
I will reach out tomorrow.
You're going to
and-
email Roanoke?
Yeah.
So we looking for next week, if possible,
I'll find out when the
next Wednesday?
soonest we can get someone from VTC. I mean, I don't know that it will be next week because it is,
Can we
VTC.
do video? Could somebody Skype in? I mean, there's no reason for somebody to drive up here.
Oh, I'm sure we could.
Skype
I'm
one
sure
up.
we could set that
Oh,
up.
If you were on that
You make yourself.
Especially
No, I mean,
You
No,
don't want to drive over
I
the.
know I don't make a lot of meetings, you don't have to bring that up, but,
I think you didn't want to drive over
No,
the bridge.
no.
You make the
Well,
important
especially
meetings.
from Roanoke,
No.
if they want a conference
But-
and
Is there a way that somebody from the VTC can Skype in?
Yeah, we have plenty of resources. I mean, if we couldn't do it here, we could do it at the library, we could do it at the community. I mean, we've got plenty
Do
of,
it right here?
we've got plenty of locations that would allow for that to happen, so,
You can do it in my office too.
yeah.
To the hotel.
So, yeah, we could definitely do that.
Maybe that would be an easier route.
Yeah. Get
Okay.
quicker and whatever.
All right.
So Taryn, when did you say the
Have your guy
next?
up, I'll put him on.
It'll be up to
Yeah.
when
Thumbs up.
VTC's,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
we could get them quicker, I bet, if it,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good thought.
See you, Richard. You're very valuable.
Wow.
All right.
Thank you all.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.